Hi, I'm Michael Whitehouse, and this is the Daily Michael video blog for Wednesday, September 2nd, 2009. Got a couple of quick corrections, and then we're going to get back to the topic of attractiveness and beauty ideals. First off, VU13 and Gwen corrected me that Marilyn Monroe is more accurately a size 8 to 10, not a size 12. Thank you for that correction. Also, Christy clued me in that bimbo is the Mexican equivalent to Wonder Bread. It doesn't have the same connotations in Mexico in Spanish that bimbo does in English, but that's what bimbo is. I still think it's a hilarious name, but it is actually a very popular brand in Mexico. I also got a great comment from Gypsiewitch. I ut it down a bit. You can read it in the comments. They're on that side of the screen. One of these sides. If you're viewing this on YouTube, I encourage you to do so. But I cut it down for length to try to get this under 10 minutes. I'm fairly certain that you meant this to be a female-positive, body-positive post. I wonder, however, if you completely understood the point that was being made in the post that this was all initially in response to. If you had, you would not be posting a series of pictures of imperfect bodies that have, by your grace, been given the male stamp of approval. These women are gorgeous. It seems to me, though, the point of the initial post was that they should be able to feel gorgeous regardless of whether some masculine figure in their life says they're acceptable. As I said, there's a lot more to it. I encourage you to read it, but trying to keep the time down. This is actually the second time I recorded this. I went 10 minutes the first time, so we'll see if I can do a little better this time. So first, I'd like to consider attractiveness as one of many traits of attributes that people have. It's often one that gets a lot more significance than other attributes, largely because when you look at someone, you can see their attractiveness, you can't see their intelligence, you can't see their technical ability, you can't see their creativity so much as you can see, what they look like and how they carry themselves. But we're going to look at another trait, just as an example, which is physical strength, because that's easy to do examples with. Let's say you've got a large box in the center of the room. It weighs a couple 100 pounds. And let's say I'm looking at this box and I say, wow, that's a heavy box, and I, not so much in the strong. I do have arm muscles, my arm moves very well, but not with a lot of weight on it. So I have this box and I need to move it. Well, what do? Well, I can't just lift it and move it. I don't have the strength for it. So there's other options. I could use my mental my mental strengths, my mental attributes, and I can develop a machine to move it. I could get a forklift. I could use my car and drive it into the box, push it across the room. I could use my social attributes. Phone a friend and say, hey, buddies, come on over, help me move this big heavy thing. I could avoid it. I could say, that box is fine where it is. I know you say I need to move it, but I don't think so. I'm just going to leave it right there. Or similarly, I could, light it on fire or chop it up with an axe so it is not so much in my way, but not moved. The solution that wouldn't make any sense would be dwelling on it, staring at the box, leaving it there and saying, wow, I'm such a loser because I'm too weak to move that box. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm a worthless individual because I lack physical strength, and that's the most important attribute I might possibly have. Unfortunately, that is, of course, what many people do with attractiveness. They see it as the be-all and end-all of attributes. Doesn't matter if you're smart, doesn't matter if you're funny, doesn't matter if you're technically capable. If you're not attractive, that's it, game over. And this is true for a lot of men as well as women, I should point out. And for a lot of these people, they are attractive, and it's like watching Arnold Schwarzenegger look at the box and say, oh, it is too strong, I cannot move it, I am so worthless. And looking at that's ridiculous, but it's a very sad picture. There's a lot of people like that with attractiveness. They have it, they don't realize they have it, and they beat themselves up over it. But the thing about attractiveness is it's made up of two components. There's the physical appearance, which is generally what God gave you. You can do some things like exercise and work out and whatnot, but for the most part, it's what God gave you. But the other part, which is more important than the appearance part, is what you bring to it. Your confidence, how you dress, how you carry yourself, your posture. First time I recorded this, I was slouching like this, and then got to posture and realized I needed to sit up straight. All those things are very important for attractiveness. In fact, more important than appearance. I've known people with appearances that were, not so much. You look at a picture of them and you say, what's the big deal? And yet these people, men and women who can do it, can go into any club any grocery store, any whatever place, and say, you're coming home with me. And they do! Because they've got confidence, because they've got the poise and the carriage and all these other things that aren't simply physical appearance that make a difference. So the other question is it important? How important is attractiveness? And generally the argument is attractiveness isn't that important because it's a counterbalance to attractiveness is the only thing. Well, it's certainly not the only thing, but it's certainly not unimportant either. It's a very useful attribute. The question is, what is it for? Strength, for example, is for lifting, moving, and occasionally breaking things. If you want to lift, move, and occasionally break things, you should have strength. You can use other skills, other attributes to get around it, but basically, as you want. Attractiveness is for the most part, picking up people of interest, attracting their attention. For me, for example, that's women. I like to attract women's attention. And making first impressions. When you walk into a meeting, when you walk into a club, when you walk into a networking event, people look at you. And studies have shown that people like to interact with people that are more attractive. They find them more trustworthy and a number of other things. It's hardwiring. And, you know, fair or not, that's how it is. So, personally, I think I'm fairly attractive. Now, this is not because I looked at myself in the mirror one day and said, "You are a sexy bitch." I looked at myself in the mirror one day, and I said, you're kind of funny looking, cheeks are kind of pudgy, your beard's uneven. But, what's attractiveness for? Attractiveness is for attracting a mate, making first impressions. And around the time I was 17, I realized I was doing pretty good at both of those things. Well, if I was able to lift a large box, I'd probably think of myself as strong. It's an objective measure. If I was able to do difficult math problems, I could think of myself as smart and good at math. If I'm attracting people, I must be attractive. It's an objective measure. And that's something to think about. If you don't think you're attractive, and yet people are attracted to you, you are, by definition, attractive. Does it matter? Does this make you a better person? Not necessarily. You could still be an asshole, even if people are attracted to you. Plenty of attractive people are not good people, and plenty of unattractive people are good people. It is one trait among many. And if you have it, awesome. Use it. If you don't have it, no big deal. I bet you've got other traits. You might be smart, you might be creative, you might be funny, you might at least be smart enough to watch my video blog. So you got that trait going for you. So use those other traits. And that's the point. It's not just that attractiveness is the be-all and end-all, and is this attractive, does it matter, is it not attractive, does it not matter? Yes, there are objective measures of attractiveness, and yes, it does matter, but it's not the thing. It's not all there is to it. It is one of many things that makes up a person, and that's really the whole point. So, hopefully I managed to keep this under 25 minutes. I'm not sure. I don't have any kind of timer. If I went over, I apologize. Speaking briefly is not one of my strong traits. I'm Michael Whitehouse. I look forward to your comments, as always, and that'll do.